specific charity with a very specific cause. Why purpose-built communities? How'd you get involved and why?
Well, I got involved in Atlanta, the people in it. It took him years and years and years to do about whether this, he committees around the country. First New Orleans, kids a chance to really have something that
are headed either. But there is one thing that he is certain about, and that is that stocks are a better investment than bonds.
I would say this, anybody that prefers bonds today to stocks is making a big mistake. I've been saying that year after year after year. Now, I won't say that under all circumstances, but it is ridiculous, in my view, for somebody to buy a 30-year bond, in some countries 50-year bonds and so on, at these rates, in preference to buying stocks than they were doing at the current time. When you get into a Google and Amazon, you're paying for the future more, but they may well have a better future. I mean, that may be more than justified. And Apple, I wouldn't say it's easier for me to understand than Google now, perhaps, or Amazon now, and who's trying to chase them, and how easy it is to chase them.
For Nightly Business Report, I'm Becky Quick in Omaha.
We've done better than we would have been if we'd copied the centralized management system.
I wouldn't have wanted to work there.
No, worse not. No, worse not.
I'd resigned, or been interesting, plenty of reading material.
Gone along just fine, even with the 10% tariff that existed on those $200 billion to date. Is 25% tariffs on potentially all 500 billion plus of the imports coming in. Would that concern you about the American economy?
Well, I don't think we want a full-scale tariff war that's just as high as both sides can make it. That would be massively stupid. And if both of them are a little disappointed with the negotiations and feel a little roughed up, that's what they should feel.
What do you mean they should feel roughed up?
Well, both sides, since a settlement is so much better than a war, trade war for both sides, they ought to just get used to having a little loss of face.
In terms of what you do with your businesses, do these trade talks have any impact on you, on your investments, even your own personal ones, because you all have a large individual portfolio that you do. And Charlie, I know you focus a lot.
Some are larger than others.
Well, Charlie, I know you focused a lot on China. Does this diminish your enthusiasm for Chinese investments in any way? Must read, because you spend so much time actually writing this yourself.
Yeah, too much.
When do you start writing the letter?
Well, this one I started very early because I had one section in mind. It turned out to be the last section. But we've got Jordan's in Boston, we've got Starr in Houston, we have R.C. Willey, and to go through everyone and tell them about the
of Kraft Heinz on Friday, after all that news came out, after the market closed on Thursday. I mean, stock was down 30%, and I think for Berkshire alone, that was a loss of about $4 billion, on top of your $3 billion share of the $15 billion write-down.
So we didn't coordinate to get our story straight, but it was a seminal time for Berkshire in either the last days of October, the early days of November of 2009, and Matt and I talked at a small hotel in Fort Worth, and our directors are going to meet there in the fall. It'll be the 10th anniversary, and I've just had so much good luck in Texas, but nothing rivals the BNSF acquisition. One thing you may find interesting, I had a talk with Matt.
That leads to the political discontent that we've seen in this country.
They should be.
And the inequality. So what do you do about that?
Well, what you do in a country with $65,000 of GDP per capita, that's more than 6 times what it was when I was born. Here we had a developed economy, and now you have 6 times what we had then. And you do take care of the people that, for one reason or another, can become, and it's a terrible term to use, but it's true, roadkill in an economy. We started, Berkshire Hathaway was a textile mill, And there aren't any textile mills in New England anymore. Can be. Yeah. I mean, there were a paradise at the Desert Inn one time, many years ago. That no, they had them in a little case. They came up 32 times in a row. Well, that's what, 1,000 times, a million times, a billion times years ago. That no, they had them in a little case. They came up 32 times in a row. Well, that's what, 1,000 times, a million times, a billion times years ago. That no, they had them in a little case. They came up 32 times in a row. Well, that's what, 1,000 times, a million times, a billion times. 4 billion to 1, a little over. It's not something you want to take as a lifetime policy. Though I don't worry about. I worry much more about the things I do than the things I don't do. I mean, I missed all kinds of opportunities in my life, but you just want to make sure that you're on the side of the house when you bet rather than bet against the house.
Your biggest holding is Apple. You have $47 billion or so in Apple shares. And Apple just had a huge event this week. It was star-studded. People like Oprah Winfrey and Jennifer Aniston were there, Reese Witherspoon. It was all to unveil this new streaming services that they have, news, entertainment. I just wonder, I know you have an iPad. Are you going to be downloading?
Unpleasant. You've got to attack it immediately. It's so easy just to kind of shove it off or hope somebody down the line solves it. And you pay a huge price for that, and Wells Fargo has.
There's a class action lawsuit that has been filed against all of the big real estate companies. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is the largest real estate company. It is one of those named in this class action lawsuit. And the suit is being brought by the lawyers who went after big tobacco and won. They look at what's happening in the real estate industry and say that 6% fee that sellers have to pay when they sell a house, they look at it as a monopoly, a cartel. And they're going after that 6%. First of all,
Doris, that spent 8 or 10 hours a day listening to people. Doris, that spent 8 or 10 hours a day listening to people.